Hey everyone, and welcome back. Tonight, I want to share one of the most powerful stories Jesus ever told. It's a story about kindness, about seeing people who need help, and about what it really means to be a good neighbor. So, grab a cozy blanket, get comfortable, and let's dive into the story of the Good Samaritan. Imagine a man, just an ordinary guy, traveling on a long and dusty road. This road stretched from the grand city of Jerusalem all the way down to Jericho. It was known for being a bit dangerous, winding through lonely hills and rocky valleys where robbers could easily hide. And on this particular day, that's exactly what happened. Suddenly, a group of thieves jumped out from behind the rocks. They were rough and cruel. They grabbed the traveler, tore his clothes, took his money, and beat him up badly. They didn't care about him at all. When they were done, they just left him lying on the side of the road, barely alive, all alone, and in terrible pain. The poor man lay there under the hot sun, groaning. He hoped someone, anyone, would come along and help him. After a while, he heard footsteps. He looked up with hope in his eyes and saw a priest walking down the road. A priest, a man who served God in the holy temple. Surely, he would stop and help. The priest saw the injured man. He saw the blood, the torn clothes, the pain. But what did he do? He crossed over to the other side of the road and just kept walking. He didn't want to get involved. He just walked right by, leaving the man to suffer. A little later, another person came along. This time, it was a Levite. A Levite was also someone who helped at the temple, a religious assistant. He walked over, took a good look at the man lying half dead on the ground, and then he did the same thing as the priest. He crossed the road and hurried on his way. Can you imagine how that poor, hurt man must have felt? Two people who were supposed to be holy and righteous had seen him and just left him there. It must have felt like all hope was lost. The road fell silent again, except for the sound of the wind and the man's quiet moans. He was losing strength, and it was getting harder to stay awake. But then he heard a different sound. It was the gentle clip-clop of a donkey's hooves. A third traveler was coming. This man was a Samaritan. Now, this is a really important part of the story. In those days, Jews and Samaritans did not like each other at all. They had a long history of arguments and disagreements. A Jewish person would never expect a Samaritan to help them. But this Samaritan was different. When he saw the injured man on the side of the road, he didn't see an enemy. He saw a human being in desperate need. His heart was filled with compassion. He immediately stopped his journey. He got off his donkey and rushed over to the man. He knelt down beside him and spoke to him with gentle words. He took out his own supplies, oil and wine, which were used as medicine back then to clean and soothe wounds. He carefully poured the oil and wine on the man's cuts and bruises. He then tore strips from his own cloth to make bandages and gently wrapped the man's injuries. He didn't just do a quick patch-up job. He took his time and treated the man with incredible care and tenderness. But the Samaritan's kindness didn't stop there. He knew the man was too weak to walk. So, with great effort, he carefully lifted the injured man onto his own donkey. The donkey, as if sensing the importance of its task, walked slowly and gently, making sure not to jolt the hurt passenger. The Samaritan walked alongside, holding the man steady, guiding the donkey down the rest of the dangerous road until they reached the town of Jericho. He found a little inn, a place where travelers could rest for the night. He helped the man inside and made sure he was comfortable in a warm bed. The Samaritan stayed with him all night, watching over him, giving him water, and making sure he was safe. The next morning, the Samaritan had to continue his own journey. But before he left, he went to the innkeeper. He took out 2 silver coins, which was a lot of money back then, enough for several weeks of care. He gave the money to the innkeeper and said, "Take care of this man. If you need to spend more than this, I will pay you back when I return, He promised to come back and cover any extra costs. He didn't even know this man's name, but he treated him like family. So why did Jesus tell this story? It was actually an answer to a question. A man who was an expert in religious law asked Jesus, "What must I do to have eternal life?" Jesus told him to love God and love his neighbor as himself. But then the man, wanting to justify himself, asked, "And who is my neighbor?" Jesus responded with this very story. After telling it, Jesus asked, "Which of these three, the priest, the Levite, or the Samaritan, was a neighbor to the man who fell into the hands of robbers?" The expert had to admit, the one who showed him mercy. And Jesus said to him, and to all of us, "Go and do likewise." Even the animals in the story played a part in this act of kindness. The Samaritan's faithful donkey carried the heavy burden of the injured man without complaint, taking slow, careful steps. And as the Samaritan tended to the man's wounds, maybe little birds flew down and brought soft leaves to help, or perhaps a gentle breeze blew away the dust. All of creation seemed to recognize this beautiful act of love. It shows us that compassion is a language everyone and everything understands. It's a force that brings comfort and healing where there was once only pain and loneliness. So, what does this story mean for us today? It is a beautiful reminder that our neighbor isn't just the person who lives next door or someone who looks and thinks like us. Our neighbor is anyone we meet who is in need. Jesus is calling us to have a compassionate heart, just like the Samaritan. He wants us to be the ones who stop when others walk by. It can be as simple as smiling at someone who looks sad, helping a classmate who is struggling, or sharing your lunch with someone who forgot theirs. It's about looking at everyone with the same love that Jesus has for you. Let's try to be a good Samaritan in our own lives. Look around you this week. Is there someone who needs a kind word? Someone who feels left out? Someone who needs a helping hand? Don't to be like the priest or the Levite who are too busy or too afraid to get involved. Be the one who stops. Be the one who shows mercy, because that is true love in action. That is how we show we are followers of Jesus. Thank you so much for listening tonight. I hope this story inspires you to spread kindness wherever you go. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories. Good night, and God bless.